Chuck, I can't see you at all.
I can't see you either.
Hold on, I can fix this. Welcome to a very special edition of the Nerd Card. This is our 50th video.
It is.
So stinking cool. And we thought for our 50th video, why don't we tackle something that had another 50th? And that is the 50th anniversary episode of Doctor Who, The Day of the Doctor.
Although that occurred much sooner than ours did.
It definitely did, yes. This episode actually took place and was filmed in 2013.
Yes, it was.
And is just...
It's beautiful.
It's my favorite episode of Doctor Who, man.
It is.
It's so good. It brings together a bunch of different doctors. It is the first established on-screen view of the Time War in any media.
Yeah.
They didn't tackle it in the comics. They didn't tackle it in the books. Nothing. There's no view of the Time War
and
at
Gallifrey.
all. Well, Gallifrey was seen, but not to this extent. Yeah. Not nearly to this extent. There's
quite a bit of scenes on Gallifrey proper, which is unusual in the show, especially up to that point. I'd never seen it.
Yeah.
Then you're seeing actual Gallifreyans.
Yes, it is very good,
Boom,
Chuck.
Look at that!
Wow, you're like diving right into this Doctor Who stuff. I love it.
Well, it's a fun show, right? And when you're celebrating the 50th anniversary, which we thought was very appropriate again for our 50th video that we've released, because you know how near and dear Doctor Who is to Phil's heart.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I really enjoy the show as well. It was really appropriate. We figured let's do our 50th video on the 50th anniversary episode.
Yep.
And 50 years of a sci-fi show. You're talking, it's older than Star Wars.
Impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Most impressive.
It's in the same realm as Star Trek in terms of age. I think it's a little bit older.
Please, Spock, do me a favor. And don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
So you're talking, it's one of the granddaddies of the sci-fi universe. And it was really cool to be able to talk about this episode that, as you said, you have our two favorite doctors and the War Doctor.
Yes.
Which is really, the War Doctor centers around the central character and themes of how our two favorite doctors act throughout the series.
It really does. The War Doctor's purpose, and actually the War Doctor was only created and is never called the War Doctor, by the way. But the War Doctor was only created because Chris Eccleston, who portrayed the Ninth Doctor, was originally supposed to be in that role. And he had a disagreement. He wanted someone to direct it that Stephen Moffat didn't want to direct it. And as a result...
He didn't do the episode.
By the time they worked it all out, there was scheduling conflicts, all sorts of other stuff. But
this is wont to happen in Hollywood.
But Christopher Eccleston is on record as saying that if he is still alive come the 100th anniversary episode, he's happy to do it.
Well, you know, it's the advancements in science. You never know. It's not likely.
He does say as long as his director is able to direct it. So, it's pretty funny stuff.
It makes sense. He's eccentric. His last name kind of sounds eccentric. So,
it does. Yeah. So, it does indeed. Either way. So what we get out of that is the War Doctor. And it's an incarnation of the Doctor that basically... none of them talk about.
No, he's the deep secret down inside that they don't want to talk about.
You can't handle the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
correct.
It's played by William Hurt.
Yeah.
Which is a great casting for that role.
Really
William
is.
Hurt, you guys have seen him. If you're sci-fi fans, you've seen him in Alien. And then, of course, in Spaceballs, where they make fun of his scene in Alien.
Oh, no. Not again.
Yes.
But, and he was in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, and he's been in many, many, many other things. Very famous British actor.
He does such a wonderful job as the War Doctor as well.
Always brilliant.
He embodies all of the classic Who doctors.
Yeah.
He brings that gravitas. He's a little more posh, a little more. In fact, David Tennant's 10th Doctor says, loving the whole posh gravelly thing. You know, and he does just a spectacular job as the War Doctor. But the story, you're absolutely right. It centers around how his decision affects the lives of himself moving down the line.
Yeah. Which then causes, angst in both of Matt Smith and David Tennant's doctors.
Yes.
You have both of them are very affected, and you can see throughout their runs as the Doctor, this decision that they made in the Time War in Gallifrey really weighs heavy at their soul.
Yeah.
And each incarnation, it's interesting, the psychology of it, because each incarnation handles it differently.
Yeah.
Tennant handles it differently than Smith's.
Yeah, and that's where we see as Rose Tyler, well, not Rose Tyler, the moment, the interface
and not to be
of the
confused
moment.
with Bad Wolf, right? Because she's a couple different things.
Yeah, she's the Bad Wolf version of Rose Tyler as the moment's interface.
Yep.
It's a little confusing, but that's Doctor Who. Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
Timey what? Timey-wimey?
I've no idea where he picks that stuff up.
But as she points out, you see the man who regrets.
I was the only one who could end it. And I tried everything.
And the man who forgets.
You told me about your people, and you told me what you did.
Yes, but if they're like the Corsair, they're good ones, and I can save them.
And then tell them you destroyed all the others.
I can explain. Tell them why I had to.
The action of killing all of Gallifrey.
Yep.
And all of the Daleks.
Yep.
Which, of course, is the event that this centers around, the Time War.
Yep, and each of them take on one of those distinctions, the man who forgets and the man who regrets.
Yes.
And the War Doctor is the embodiment of why they act this way.
Yes.
Right? They were in that form when they took this action, and they just can't stand it. And you really see the Tennant and Smith's fantastic acting really as they deal with this in each of their own ways.
Certainly.
And they're just the two best Doctor Who's there were. We have a different opinion.
Oh, indeed.
I'm a Tennant guy.
And I am a Smith guy, for sure.
There's different opinions, man. And
no worries, whatever. But there are a lot of really cool callbacks to both Classic Who and the newer series throughout this episode, which really make it something special.
Yes.
There's a mention of the Brigadier.
Yeah.
You know the Brigadier?
No.
He's very prominent throughout it's Lethbridge Stewart, the Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. He is very prominent throughout the classic series, and what they do in this one is, there's a picture of him when they go into the Black Archive.
For sure.
But also...
That's the only thing I know him from.
Yes. But also his daughter is now the head of unit.
Kate Lethbridge Stewart, a word to the wise, as I'm sure your father would have told you, I don't like being picked up.
Right.
And that's really cool because it carries on that legacy. We do see the characters of Kate and Osgood later on down the line as well. You don't know that yet. But,
I don't. I'm not that far.
They're really great characters created specifically for this particular episode. Well, Osgood was in particular created for this particular episode. And they're just great. You see them whenever you see a Zygon on screen, you see those characters. And that's pretty cool. I like that quite a bit. A lot of other things in there, of course, with Tennant and Smith playing off each other. That is just spectacular stuff.
Oh, the two of them together is magic. It really is.
It is.
With they're both very charismatic actors, and they're both very charismatic doctors. And so when they're on the screen playing off each other, you have dynamite scenes. It's like they're old buddies.
Yeah.
It's like a buddy movie.
One of my favorites is, who are you talking to? Myself. And they both say myself.
Right.
Myself.
It's just hysterical.
Right.
You can tell they're giddy little kids
exactly.
playing with each other. But you also see the difference in their styles. It opens up with Tennant, or the first time we see the 10th Doctor within the episode, he is picnicking with the Queen.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna be king.
I'm gonna be king. I'm not English. Yeah,
no, he's not.
There's a whole bunch of classic lines in there. One of my absolute favorite moments throughout the entire episode is Tennant is chasing a Zygon through the forest, lost track of it, and he's got this thing that goes ding that detects Zygons. And so he's running through the forest. He passes by a rabbit and he goes, oh, and he backs up.
Yeah.
And he gives this big, long speech that's, impassioned and meant to be very threatening, and just backs off of it immediately. You're just basically just a rabbit, aren't you? Well, just a general warning.
Right, exactly.
You're
on notice, rabbit.
Yeah. It's perfect Tennant.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. 100%.
Really is. But you also see Smith's mannerisms in there when he's talking. Are you capable of talking without flapping your hands about?
Yes. No.
For sure.
Just great stuff. But what this really does is it dives into, as we were talking about before, it dives into how one decision can shape you over the course of your life. And how, is there a decision that you've made in your life that you'd like to go back and redo?
Yeah. Well, and it really shows you subtly the impact that Rose had on the Doctor.
Oh, certainly.
Because the moment takes her image, because it's reading the Doctor's mind, it really shows you that she's never left his thoughts.
Oh, absolutely not.
And so it's really a real tribute to the job that Billie Piper did as Rose, and to the camaraderie that she especially had with Tennant through his run. Well,
and there's an interesting moment there towards the end of it where the War Doctor says, "Oh, Bad Wolf Girl, I could kiss you," and to which Rose Tyler replies, "Oh, that's going to happen," and then Tennant goes, "Excuse me, did you say Bad Wolf?" And what's interesting about that is that the War Doctor hears that, and it's kind of an aside. It's like a kind of a throwaway line. But I think what it does is subliminally, it implants in him, wait a minute, he knows what Bad Wolf was?
Right.
And so he immediately regenerates after the entire adventure, obviously into Christopher Eccleston's Ninth Doctor.
Yep.
With the thought of, I have to go find Bad Wolf. If you think about it that way, it really is it's a perfect prequel to Rose.
Yeah, and it's the way that they've always played with time in Doctor Who is it's very nonlinear.
Oh, certainly.
Right? It's all over, especially when you get to the getting into with the River Song aspect, which we'll talk about a different day.
Spoilers.
Oh my
goodness! It just plays into the nonlinear aspect of you really aren't even sure. With the timeline of when events happen.
No,
and
certainly.
I think it's intentional. So they're just all over. He's a Time Lord. He goes everywhere. And this happen before that, or did that happen before that?
Right.
We don't know.
Well, and as Matt Smith, his doctor says, I'm a time traveler. Figure it out.
Right. Right. So it's it was very interesting to me for them to do that, and it says a lot about their continuity and putting it together in a sneaky way of tying it all together, but then also raising question.
Oh, sure. And that's something Doctor Who does very, very well.
All the time.
Never better than in this particular episode.
Yeah.
This is definitely one to check out, guys. If you haven't watched Doctor Who, get on it.
Yeah, go check it out. It's worth just for Tennant and Smith.
Yeah.
Playing off each other. If you like either of those doctors, which if you're a Doctor Who fan, I'm pretty certain you do.
You like one or both.
Or both, yeah. So check it out, and it's worth watching. Even if you haven't watched the whole series and you've just gotten into it, it's a fun episode to watch just as an aside and give you a preview of what's coming.
It really is. You won't know a lot of what's going on, but it's a fun episode.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple, It's a fun episode.
You can watch it self-contained.
I think so.
You just won't have some of the history.
Yeah, you won't get all the references. That's all it is. But it's definitely a great one to jump in on. Another great one to jump in on is Blink. That's
one of the best episodes they ever did.
It is, and it's very Doctor Light, so you can get into the mythology of it without getting into the mythology of it. It's a great episode. But I digress. Speaking of special episodes, this has been our 50th video. We're very proud to have created 50 videos and proud that you're watching all of them. We love it, and we want to thank you for that. I would like to remind you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are out there, and share us with all your nerd friends so they can join in the fun. And with that, we will say, what's on your nerd card?